Radio Tingle Main News brought to you by Moose Milling and Go TV Broadcasting Zambia Limited.
Radio Changalo, stirring everything in Christ with love and truth. Good afternoon. With the main news, I'm Clara Singer. The headlines: Christians urged not to show off their works of faith. A Christian Churches monitoring group to conduct a people to list the test of the 2021 provisional voters register. Plus, voting is taking place in Congo's presidential election. And now the news in detail. Cathedral of Christ the King Administrator, Father Lewis Mutachilas, urged the Christians to let their works of faith speak for them. Father Mutachilas said the faithful should emulate Saint Joseph, the husband of Mary, who worked wonders in the lives of people around him without showing off. He said Joseph is referred to as silent saint, as the Bible has not recorded him speaking out despite highlighting his works for the Holy Family. Father Mutachula said this in his Lenten reflection when the Catholic Church celebrated the solemnity of Saint Joseph last Friday.
No records of the words attributed or uttered by Joseph. Is known as a silent man, but spoke through his works or good deeds. For example, he traveled with Mary to Bethlehem at the time of census and made sure Mary had a safe place where to deliver from, despite the limited space in the inn. He accompanied Mary to offer baby Jesus in the temple, took his wife and infant Jesus to Egypt for safety, and searched for Jesus Christ at the age of 12.
The Christian Churches Monitoring Group, CCMG, says it will soon begin to conduct what it is calling a people to list the test of the 2021 Provisional Voters Register ahead of the August polls. The People to List test is an audit procedure that has been conducted by civil society organizations in countries throughout the world aimed at observing and assessing various electoral practices being implemented. The Electoral Commission of Zambia has been informed about this resolve and that nationally representative sample of 2,400 persons of voting age population will be drawn. CCMG asked that it will share analysis with the ECZ and other stakeholders if the data points to no significant concerns in the provisional voters register in terms of people who say they registered appearing on the provisional 2021 voters register. CCMG hopes that the people to list the test will build confidence in the aspect of the register as the country heads to the August 12 general elections. According to CCMG, such an action by ECZ will demonstrate its commitment to transparency and will serve to build confidence by stakeholders and also the credibility of the 2021 voters register. This is contained in a statement issued to Radio Changalo News by CCMG Steering Committee spokesperson, Father Alex Muyembe of the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflections, JCTR, and Father Emmanuel Chikoya from the Council of Churches in Zambia, CCZ. Zambia's High Commissioner to India, Judith Kabichimpanga, says the mission is looking forward to the resumption of regular international flights into and out of India after the COVID pandemic in order to revamp tourism. In a statement issued by First Secretary for Press of the Zambian Mission in India, Bangwe Nabile, Ms. Kapichimpanga says this is because the first quarter of 2021 recorded no tourists from India to Zambia as India has not yet opened airwaves for international flights. She said this in New Delhi, India, during a tourism diplomatic conclave organized by Travel Jingles Media House specialized in tourism. Ms. Kapitim Panga added that the likelihood of ticket cancellations and the possibility of a second wave lockdown in other parts of the world could lead to fear of trouble among some tourists. The Southern African Center for the Constructive Resolution of Disputes SACORD has commended NDC leader Chishimba Kambwili for apologizing to President Edgar Lungu and the SACA businessman Varden Findlay over corruption allegations. Last week, National Democratic Congress leader Chishimba Kambwili apologized to President Lungu and Varden Findlay over what he described as hurtful accusations. SACORD Executive Director Boniface Chembe observed that Dr. Kambwili's action is the first step to peace building as it offers an opportunity to offer reconciliation. Mr. Chembe said Dr. Kambwili has shown humility in that the President and Mr. Findlay must find place in their hearts to forgive the opposition leader.
Undertaking and for Dr. Kambwili to have done it shows humility on his part, and an apology is always the first step in building peace as it offers an opportunity for reconciliation. We hope in the appeal to President Lungu and Mr. Findlay to find it within their hearts and forgive Dr. Kambwili, and by so doing bury the hatchet. It's better to focus on the politics of ideas and manifestos that is devoid of value.
Pope Francis has designated the Archdiocese of Quito in Ecuador the host of the 2024 International Eucharistic Congress. The conference, in its 53rd edition, will also take place during the 150th anniversary of the consecration of Ecuador to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. According to the Catholic News Agency website, the Vatican explained that the ecclesial meeting will manifest the fullness of the Eucharist for evangelization and the renewal of faith in the Latin American continent. This news broadcast comes to you in the community service of Radio Changelo, the compliments of Moose Milling and GoTV Broadcasting Zambia Limited. And now the international news is monitored from the BBC. Voting is taking place in the Republic of Congo's presidential election, in which authoritarian incumbent Denis Sassou Nguesso hopes to tighten his grip on power. The internet has been blocked, with correspondents saying it is likely to raise suspicions of foul play. Here is the BBC with a roundup of stories.
The peaceful campaigning, the choice facing voters is between another term for President Denis Sassou Nguesso, who has already had a total of 37 years in power, and one of the 6 opposition candidates. Catholic bishops and right activists in the country have expressed concerns over the transparency of the process. Previous polls have been marred by violence and challenges to the results. 2 opposition candidates from early elections are still in prison after disputing the results.
Parts of New South Wales and Australia are suffering their worst floods in a century, and there's been a warning that more rain is forecast for days to come. About 1,000 people in the western suburbs of Sydney have been urged to evacuate their homes so far on Sunday. The country's Prime Minister Scott Morrison warned that the worst was not yet over.
These events are going to go on for some days. This is a very complex weather system that is impacting on New South Wales at present over a very large area. 1 in 50-year floods in the Sydney metropolitan area, and of course 1 in 100-year floods in the mid-north coast. So this is a very serious storm and flood event. Our message is very clear: to keep yourself safe, to keep your family safe and those around you.
The British government has been warned that its decision to cut billions of dollars from its overseas aid budget is illegal. The UK's former top prosecutor, Ken MacDonald, said the change would violate British laws. The government says the reduction is necessary to rebalance the economy, but the move has been widely criticised by aid campaigners and politicians. Here's our diplomatic correspondent, James Landale.
The law says ministers must spend 0.7% of national income on foreign aid each year, but the government's decided to set a new target of 0.5%. It argues that's possible within existing legislation. But Lord MacDonald disagrees. In a legal opinion, first reported by the Sunday Times, he says it's unlawful for ministers to set a new target without new legislation. He also says the decision can be tested by the courts.
The Philippines army says its troops have killed an Islamist rebel commander and rescued the last of his Indonesian captives. According to the military, Marines engaged in a gun battle on Saturday night with the Abu Sayyaf kidnappers. The army said the group's leader, Amajang Sahijuan, was captured but later died of his wounds. 2 of the other rebels vanished.
To end the main news, a reminder of the headlines. Christians urged not to show off their works of faith. A Christian churches monitoring group to conduct a people-to list test of the 2021 provisional voters register. Last voting is taking place in Congo's presidential election. There we end the main news. Good afternoon.